I think there's another Asian game which came out recently, dominating the Steam charts. It's called Avalon. Takes place in a alternative London environment, and it's with the Holy Grail and shit. I'm going to look into it. But my point is, it's like, okay, Asia is dominating the market, and so what is the West doing? Well, the West is losing so much money that they're deciding to restructure some of their companies. As you can see here, Ubisoft has been in significant pain recently, right? Like, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars lost. A lot of people are saying, well, yeah, but like China is behind it. And my question is, well, why is it Ubisoft behind the Tencent's failure then? Why are they taking money from China? Why isn't the government stepping in? It's another question, right? Like, soft power is important enough that the government is giving grants to a lot of companies. They're giving taxpayer cuts, and do you know what the strings attached are to those taxpayer cuts, to those grants that are being given by the European Union, by Canada, by France, by many other nations? Literally the same strings that Tencent puts. Like, literally the same. DEI shit, right? So, like, Western governments want DEI shit. China wants DEI shit. And so entertainment companies are failing. Now, the interesting thing is that you can pull DEI shit without actually making a bad product. Like you can just fit the check boxes at the minimum requirement. You don't have to go over 11. And secondly, I was always wondering, why do they have to make video games that cost $200 or $300 million? Why can't they have like 10 or 15 small teams and just make like small AA games and see what sticks? Because that is the way that you can actually take some risk. You can actually, try to make various interesting games like Blizzard used to do with Hearthstone. They got the entire new team to develop that. Massive success. They're making money even now. Minimum involvement, minimum investment, right? And so what we're seeing here is that the son of Yves Guillemot is going to step up. And for those of you who don't remember, he actually stepped down because of progressive issues. I believe he made fun of BLM or some shit. And so now the company is like, all right, this is a problem. Like, we constantly fired our competent people because of woke reasons. It seems that wokeness is not profitable anymore. So they're deciding to do a 180. Ubisoft has sold most of its IP to subsidiary with Tencent. And this is why I brought Asia up. Because believe it or not, I have like a nuanced opinion about this. I know, nuance horrible. I don't hate Asia when it comes to video games. Like, I generally don't. I think it's a good thing that China is making video games. I think it's a good thing that South Korea is making video games. But I want the West to step up. Like, I, as a consumer, benefit when there's different schools of thought, when there's different people that are making entertainment and competing with each other for my attention, right? So I want Ubisoft to be successful. And the thing is, like, it's interesting to see what they're going to do, because if they're closing studios worldwide and now they're restructuring, we also got to remember that Ubisoft does have some actual titles that I personally like. They're not the best titles. There's others like BioWare that has most of the franchises that I love. But they still have Anno. They still have Prince of Persia. I'm kind of sick and tired of Assassin's Creed, not gonna lie. But they do have Heroes of Might and Magic. Speaking of which, there's actually a new Heroes of Might and Magic game coming out. Like, you guys should check it out. I'll probably make a video promoting it. It's really interesting. And so the question is, do I think that this is enough? Probably not. Probably not, but it's a good sign. It's a good sign because when you see big corporations finally changing course, it's very likely that the smaller corporations are going to follow. Like, they're basically finally noticing, okay, wokeness is a problem. We need to abandon it. However, I would like to point out that I don't think wokeness per se is the biggest issue. It is an issue, but it's pretty much like a symptom. The root cause is the bureaucracy. And I don't know if that can be fixed. Like, there are so many do's and don'ts right now when it comes to creating art. Like you've no idea the pressure that is placed on a painter right now in order to have a product that is sold on an international community. Because that's the main issue, right? Like before, video games were made in the United States for the United States. They were made in Japan for Japan. Nowadays, video games are made for a global audience. And in order to do that, you need to have a lot of money, as we can see, hundreds of millions of dollars. But more importantly, you need to get tax cuts, you need to get grants, which have DEI strings attached to them. And then you have a set of rules to the point where video games like Postal, GTA, South Park are incredibly difficult to make. First of all, you have the ESRB rating, which I think should go, but what I think doesn't matter. But for instance, you're not allowed to have alcohol in a game, right? Like if you have alcohol, if you have certain things like drugs, many of the things, your game gets a higher rating. And so there are publishers that may not want to touch it. When it comes to nudity, it's very interesting. Like if you show a naked woman that's perfect looking and has big tits, that's a no-no. But if you show the cock of a man, that's okay. That's allowed, right? And so you need to look at the world and see the countries with the most unhinged censorious regulation and cater to them if you want your game to be sold internationally. Before it was just Germany, right? Like if you released a game with swastikas in it, like Wolfenstein, or you released a strategy game, you had to adhere to German censorship and just have like 2 versions of the game. But in this scenario, no. It's like you need to look at some of the most ridiculous countries out there. And unless, you know, your game is completely sanitized, it usually doesn't pass the censorship. And so you're not going to get edgy games. You're not going to get interesting games for a while. But hopefully, at least we're not going to get preachy games. At least we're not going to get games that feel like a PowerPoint presentation on pronouns and less of something that's entertaining. But we'll see. You know, there's always the indie sector. And I think that if the market keeps putting up pressure and people just don't buy bad games, eventually you are going to have certain titles that are going to try to break the market. In my opinion, we're kind of like in the era where comic books were extremely sanitized and no violence was allowed, and you know, every single comic book needed to have the hero winning, right? Like the level of bureaucracy, what I'm telling, like the level of rules and regulations that you had to apply back then. This is kind of how artists feel now. But as we know, back then, eventually people broke from that mold and started creating good entertainment again. I do have high hopes that in the future, whether it's 5 or 10 years, we're going to have interesting games again. We're going to have edgy shit. We're going to have women with big fat tits killing really nasty monsters with a lot of blood and gore being sprayed around. Let me know what you guys think about it. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.